You see, the fact of remaining perma-broke has a name. It's called the Diderot effect. D-I-D-E-R-O-T. It's named after a famous late French philosopher and writer, better known not for going broke, but for writing something called the Encyclopedia, or co-writing, should I be more precise in this. He was of modest means, and until he made the late Empress of Russia, Catherine the Great, he didn't make much money with his books. However, meeting the Empress of Russia changed his life, as she bought a whole lot of his titles, and he became financially quite well off in his later life. And you know, that's not why he became broke, or why you're broke. It's because he was gifted a very good looking, I can't remember if it's a coat or a bathrobe, but something you wear. And it kind of stood out with the rest of his rather humble wardrobe and surroundings. And after that, he started upgrading his entire life to match this wardrobe or this coat. So he started getting a better bed, better clothing, better furniture, a better house, etc. And despite having received a large amount of money from the Empress of Russia, he became broke again. And he documented all of that. And that is effectively what is happening to you. And this is why you're remaining broke. It's because you don't keep control of your finances, and you always will level your lifestyle with whatever the nicest thing you own. Whether it's your car, whether it's your phone, whether if it's your house, you know, the lot. It almost affected me 20 years ago when I was a student, but my late father, who didn't believe in the concept of pocket money, forced me to get a job when I was studying economics in London 25 years ago now. How time flies. And I had to sustain my student lifestyle, working odd jobs, especially I think it was cashier for an American fast food company. And he told me something that stuck with me my entire life. You need to measure where all your pennies go and where all your pennies come from, because just like water, it always seems to be running away from you if you don't look at them. And I've done this most of my life. And this Diderot effect I just mentioned is something that can be easily limited, or at least severely hindered, by accounting your books. I know most of you are going to say, oh, boring. But hear me out. Accounting is not as scary as it looks like. You see, when I started my career, I continued doing so, despite now making much more money than when I was a student. And nonetheless, I kept my finances in order, and I would put, or try to put, 10 to 15% of what I made aside right away. I would allocate, you know, about 25 to 30% to my fixed costs like rent, transportation, etc. And the rest to the fun things, food, you know, going out, etc., etc., etc. And 2 decades later, if I look at my accounting, and I adjust it to inflation, the fact that I got married a little bit as well. Oh, look, a deer antler. Where was I? Yeah. So my cost of living hasn't changed that much. Obviously, you know, outside effects like inflation does affect, but I'm not spending that much more than what I was doing 2 decades ago. In fact, I put a lot of my money aside and I've invested it into different ventures. Not that you need to know any of those details, but very much I invite you to do your own investments on the side. But all I'm saying is, suddenly you start getting a raise, what happens is you'll buy something nice. And then because you buy something nice, you'll buy something else, and you'll buy something else. As a matter of fact, I think it's not Shaquille O'Neal, but some other basketball player said that before long, when he signed his NBA contract, he was spending more than what he was making, despite making into the multi-millions. So one of the things you should be doing, and you can use an app like CoinKeeper, for example. It's very handy. Not that I'm sponsored by them, maybe I should, but I use that app myself for the last 15, 20 years now. It allows you to put all your spendings in an app and show you some graphs over time of what your income is, what your spendings are, and what category, etc. It's very handy. But do it at least for 1 month, a full month of where you put your money. Because you'll be very, very, very surprised where your money actually goes. Because this is one of the... I thought it was a snake, but it's not a snake. That's one of the things I keep saying or arguing with most of my friends and relatives, is that they don't do that. And because they don't do that, they don't understand why they're dry by the 20th of the month. Sounds familiar? And as a matter of fact, if you do your accounting, and also on top of that, you start taking a set percentage of your money and put it into a savings account or an investment account, whatever it is, but you just don't have it in front of your eyes ready to spend. Well, you do that consistently over a large period of time, and voila, you have yourself a nice little investment portfolio, or at least a large amount of money you haven't spent. Because we are very much tempted as human beings to spend everything we have. And just like Monsieur Diderot, our entire civilization or society is built around the principles of capitalism. Buying stuff you don't need with money you don't have to impress people you don't like. Now, if you're aware of it and be observant of it, then you can limit its effects. Well, this is actually the sketchiest bridge I've crossed in a while. For those interested, this is land, private land. But yes, first of all, do your accounting. So something I would advise, is that deers over there? No. Do it by category. Fixed, so rent, bills, this kind of things, internet, electricity, transportation, and your variables, like where you go for like all the dinings, the clubbings, if you're into that stuff, any of the more fun aspect of spending money. Do it for 30 days and do it again, and put yourself some milestones. I want to save, I don't know, $10, $100, whatever it is. You'll do that, it will change your life. Now, that's, let's say, an easy first step. If you want to go a little bit further down, because remember, I'm assuming like most of my viewers, you're somewhere in your 20s or in your 30s, life is ahead of you. So if you do this for, 10 years, that's 120 months where you're putting, I don't know, 100 pounds, 200 pounds, $200, $300 a month, whatever it is. It'll be quite a large amount of money after some time. And if you look at it in different buckets, it doesn't have necessarily to be like investments like stocks or anything like that. It could be towards, this fun stuff as well. You could put like some of your savings towards buying a boat or buying a car or buying whatever it is that you're after, rather than taking a loan, because cars depreciate and your loan's only going to cost the same for a long period of time. Ow, sorry, annoying mosquitoes. So yeah, that's what I wanted to come across. And once you observe, I always come back to my IQI principles of identify, quantify, improve. But once you can see where you're putting your money down, where it's actually going, and where you actually think it goes, actually fun little exercise perhaps before you start doing it, write down where you think your money's going and then compare it to where it actually is going, and start putting some milestones of saying I want to put X% towards not spending immediately for fleeting pleasures, because ultimately that's what it's all about. A lot of things we buy are fleeting pleasures. We feel inadequate, or we feel stressed, or we feel scared, and a little bit of retail therapy is there to help. It really isn't. Walking into woods is in August while explaining, human biases. So there you go. Yeah, I just felt like recording this on my current holiday away. Hope this helps. But seriously, the Diderot effect, it's pretty remarkable. You know, to give you another example that is happening right now to one of my friends, he bought himself some, you know, fruit-shaped brand of electronics, and then he started upgrading his entire fleet of electronics with that brand for himself, and then his wife, and then his kids. Well, you know, that's not cheap, and then suddenly he's like, oh, what the hell happened? I've got a couple $1,000s in loans. So you don't notice it, but it's definitely happening. So keep control of your finances, especially now where inflation is running red hot, where banks or central banks are printing money like it's Christmas. You have to keep control of your finance, and over a long period of time, this is how you start to get some cash around to start putting money in the stock market or in real estate or investing into companies or whatever it is. That's ultimately something that if you do in your 20s or even in your 30s or even your 40s, but the earlier the best, that's how you'll become wealthy. It's not being wealthy as an employee. You'll never be wealthy as an employee. You'll be wealthy by being a business owner or by having something that actually makes you money. And you can only do that if you put substantial amount of money aside. If I look personally, I probably have the oldest and crappiest cars. I don't have fancy clothes. I mean, this is my same glasses from like 5 years ago. This hat's from, I don't know, some thrift shop. I have no name clothes, but I can assure you, I'm not one paycheck, or I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. And I hope the same for you. I really do. And if you do this, you'll start being more aware of how to improve your financial situation. All right, I hope this helps you out, guys and girls. See you around. Bye.